Well, come to see a fat old man sometime. Yeah! Yeah!
Interesting facts about famous people.
Great 1960s Westerns. Arguably the height of the Western movie genre, the 60s certainly have some of the greatest Westerns ever made. Today we will take a look at some of these movies. I'm not saying these are the greatest. There were too many made to simplify down to a short list. We all have our own favourites. We could rate the ones that made the most box office profit, or some other arbitrary method. Some of my videos do this. But for now, we will just appreciate some great movies and those who made them. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Let's get into it in no particular order.
That's my steak, fella.
Major Dundee, 1965. In 1864, due to frequent Apache raids from Mexico into the US, a Union officer decided to illegally cross the border and destroy the Apache, using a mixed army of Union troops, Confederate POWs, civilian mercenaries, and scouts. Charlton Heston famously did not get along with Richard Harris, who frequently stayed up drinking into the early hours and was often late on set. Lee Marvin was Sam Peckinpah's initial choice for the role of Samuel Potts, but he wanted too much money. Marvin's agent suggested James Coburn for the part, and he ultimately got the role. During filming, Sam Peckinpah was so obnoxious and abusive towards his actors that Charlton Heston actually threatened the director with a saber. Heston later remarked that this was the only time he had ever threatened anybody on a movie set.
Trooper Ryan.
Sir?
Play us a tune, son.
Yes, sir.
Nevada Smith, 1966. A half-American Indian and half-white teenager evolves into a hardened killer as he tracks down his parents' murderers. The character Nevada Smith was supposed to be 16. He was played by 35-year-old Steve McQueen. McQueen was only 8 years younger than Gene Evans, who played his father. Suzanne Pleshette once said in an interview that her love scenes with Steve McQueen in this movie were horribly awkward for both of them, as they had enjoyed a completely platonic friendship since she first came to Hollywood, and he had very much taken on the role of big brother to her. Of the 2,000 performers that auditioned for Lee Strauss's exclusive theatre school in 1955, Steve McQueen and Martin Landau were the only ones who were accepted.
Dealing cards.
Hey! Ah!
Hingham High, 1968. When an innocent man barely survives a lynching, he returns as a lawman, determined to bring the vigilantes to justice. Clint Eastwood, Marshal Jed Cooper, wore the same gun belt and holster that he, as the man with no name, wore in the Dollars trilogy, the three spaghetti western movies directed by Sergio Leone, and that he also wore as Hogan in Two Mules for Sister Sarah, 1970. Clint Eastwood's first leading role in a Hollywood film. He was already 38 years old. Hingham High is also notable for being Eastwood's first assignment as a producer. Having formed Malpaso, it means bad step in Spanish, and Eastwood liked the irony. Productions with his friend Leonard Freeman as a loan-out company to help struggling independent filmmakers. Eastwood never dreamed it would develop into a full-scale production house.
Kill me. Kill me! Kill me.
The Professionals, 1966. An arrogant Texas millionaire hires 4 adventurers to rescue his kidnapped wife from a notorious Mexican bandit. Burt Lancaster, at 52, insisted on doing all his own stunts. Due to camera angles and lack of full facial lines of sights during stunts, it is doubtful that this bit of trivia is indeed fact and more legend. Point of fact, the rock climbing scene in which Lancaster wires dynamite to take out a pass. A stuntman is likely used in that climb because of the way it was shot. First Western to feature nudity, although it is a long-range view and tamed by later standards. Lee Marvin took it upon himself to keep the film's guns clean in the unpredictable desert conditions.
Hardly anything at all.
True Grit, 1969. A drunken, hard-nosed US Marshal and a Texas Ranger help a stubborn teenager track down her father's murderer in Indian Territory. Elvis Presley was considered for the role of LaBeouf, the Texas Ranger. However, Colonel Tom Parker, his manager, insisted that Presley should receive top billing. The part was given to Glenn Campbell instead. When accepting his Academy Award for his performance, John Wayne said, "Wow, if I'd have known that, I'd have put the patch on 35 years earlier." Ride the High Country, 1962. An ex-Union soldier is hired to transport gold from a mining community through dangerous territory. But what he doesn't realise is that his partner and old friend is plotting to double-cross him. Final film of Randolph Scott. He retired from acting once he saw the finished film, saying he wanted to quit while he was ahead, and that he would never be able to better his work here. Sam Peckinpah, who tended to edit in his head as he went along, didn't shoot much extra coverage beyond the footage he knew he needed for each scene. After viewing the rushes, MGM management sent him a note. "Who do you think you are, John Ford?" Joel McCrea was originally cast as Westrom and Randolph Scott as Judd. However, early in the production, each actor went to the producer on his own, dissatisfied and ready to quit, so the roles were reversed. Hombre, 1967. John Russell, disdained by his respectable fellow stagecoach passengers because he was raised by Native Americans, becomes their only hope of survival when they are set upon by outlaws. Filming on this movie coincided with that year's Academy Awards. Co-star Martin Balsam was a Best Supporting Actor nominee for 1,000 Clowns, 1965, but he did not receive permission to leave the set. Balsam sneaked off to attend the ceremony. He won the Oscar. Steve McQueen was offered the role of John Russell, but turned it down because it reminded him of Melody Bachelor, in which he played a half-Indian. After the release of this film, McQueen said it was one of Paul Newman's best roles. The Magnificent Seven, 1960. 7 gunfighters are hired by Mexican peasants to liberate their village from bandits. Yul Brynner had a major say in casting decisions, including the decision to cast Steve McQueen. He specifically requested that McQueen be cast as Vin Tanner. Brynner later regretted the movie since he and McQueen developed a disastrous relationship on set. James Coburn was a big fan of Seven Samurai, 1954, and his favourite role in that film was the character that he ended up playing in the Americanized version. He deliberately incorporated Seiji Miyaguchi's performance as Kyuzo into his performance.
Why?
The Wild Bunch, 1969. An aging group of outlaws look for one last big score as the traditional American West is disappearing around them. The train robbery itself is not in the script. All scenes were improvised on the spot, the same day. Same thing with The Walk, for the bunch to help Angel. After filming the scene where Ernest Borgnine and William Holden sit by a campfire and their characters vow they wouldn't have it any other way, it was hard for director Sam Peckinpah to yell, "Cut," because he was crying. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. A senator returns to a western town for the funeral of an old friend and tells the story of his origins. O.Z. Whitehead, played a teenager, was actually 50 years old. Denver Pyle played O.Z. Whitehead's father, despite being 9 years younger than him. John Wayne suggested Lee Marvin for the role of Valance, after working with him in The Comancheros, 1961. First occasion of John Wayne calling someone Pilgrim. John Ford had considered casting a young actor as Stoddard, but feared that would highlight the fact that John Wayne was too old to play Doniphan. At the time of release, this was dismissed as a lesser work from a once great director, and was stuck on the bottom half of double bills. During shooting, John Wayne was already suffering from lung cancer, although it was not diagnosed until 1964. Thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate likes and subscribers. Hit the notification bell to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel. The link is in the description. Bye for now. See you again soon.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's my steak, Valance.
Interesting facts about famous people.